What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Cocktails in the War Room. I am your host, Mistress Carrie. Welcome to the War Room, or welcome back. We've been gone for a couple of weeks. It's taken 5 seconds and the show is already off the rails. I apologize for not being around the last couple of weeks. I want to tell you everything that's been going on. But for anybody that just got the notification that Mistress Carrie is live on Twitch, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, this is where we go every Tuesday night at 8:30. Welcome to Cocktails in the War Room. We have been getting together since March 14th of 2020, where for every night for 80 straight days, we hung out together because, well, there was nothing else to do during the pandemic. But then we launched the Mistress Carrie podcast in June of 2020, and we turned Cocktails in the War Room into a weekly show. And basically, it's an Ask Me Anything. We talk about music, we talk about the world. You guys watch my pugs fight. And for anybody that's new to the War Room, if this is your first time, welcome. The OG War Room family, as they have nicknamed themselves, would like to welcome you properly. So let us know in the comments that you are new to the War Room, and let us know where you're watching so that we can welcome you. And if you're wondering what the hell is going on, yeah, so this is the Pug Cam, which we have so that you can keep track of Wednesday and Friday. You can see them on Instagram at Wednesday the Goth Pug. Wednesday, by the way, joined our family a while ago. Friday is celebrating her gotcha day a year ago on October 4th. So it was actually a year ago tomorrow that I got the text that there was a pug puppy that needed a home. And that's how I ended up. She was the best birthday / Christmas gift I ever got. Friday, obviously, is the new one, but Wednesday has been a member of the family for quite some time. So welcome to the War Room. This is the pugs. They're the ones that usually just knock the show off the rails at the very beginning, and it usually is just crazy after that. Dina says hi. Bish says Yankees suck. Ash is here. Also Alexis and Carol. Melissa, hey, she says. Lisa and Kim. Let's see. A warning if you're watching on Instagram, I don't get your actual name. I get whatever your screen name is. So I don't even know who that is on Instagram that's sending me the heart emojis, but thank you. Let's see. Jessica and Donna. Will is joining us back in the War Room. I've been gone for the last couple of weeks, so I apologize. Don LeBlanc and Rachel. Let's see. Who else is commenting? I'll try to answer all of your questions. You guys are going to have to keep me up to date with game 1 of the 3-game wild card series between the Sox and the Yankees, because I don't have the TV on here in the War Room, so I don't know what the score is. So just feel free to keep me up to date with what's going on in the comments. So if you're wondering why we haven't gotten together in the War Room the last couple of weeks, so 2 weekends ago, or 2 Sundays ago, I loaded out of the Silver Scream Con, which was Ice Nine Kills and Spencer Charnis's 3-day horror, gore, and metal festival at the DCU Center. And I had a big Mistress Carrie booth. The Pike had a booth next to mine. I was there all weekend. And I met a ton of awesome people. There were tons of people that came. It was the biggest year yet, the 4th annual Silver Scream Con. And 2-1 Boston. Thank you very much for the update on Instagram. And by Sunday afternoon, the con closed at 5, probably by 2 o'clock or so, I started feeling like my throat, like getting scratchy. And I thought it was because I was there at a convention talking all day and night, talking to crowds of people over loud music, just over a lot of noise and screaming and all of that stuff. And you guys in the past have heard me get laryngitis after really busy weeks at concerts, on the air, recording a ton of podcast episodes. And so that's what I thought it was. So it had been so crowded over the weekend that it had gotten really hot in the convention center. And I thought that me being warm was part of just the amount of people that were there. So Mr. C was there the last day, and at 5 o'clock when the con closed, we started taking apart the Mistress Carrie booth. And by 6:30, the trailer was packed up, everything was packed up and ready to go, and we were going home to unpack everything. We were going to make dinner. It was a long weekend. He was driving us home, and while he was driving, I started to not feel good. I started getting a headache. I started getting really sweaty. My throat started really hurting. and I started to sneeze. And by the time we got home, by the time we emptied the trailer of like all the Mistress Carrie gear, and by the time we sat down to eat dinner, I was really warm. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And by 10 o'clock that night, I had 101 fever. I couldn't stop blowing my nose. I had the worst sore throat. I could barely talk. It was awful. And it hit me like a ton of bricks out of nowhere. And by 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, I had 103 fever. I was so achy, my entire body hurt. And I sent emails to all of the radio stations that I'm on because I was like, there's absolutely no way that I can be on the air tomorrow. I thought I was dying. I went to sleep Sunday night, had a really hard time sleeping because I was so congested and I just felt terrible. I was up and down all day on Monday. I literally probably slept about 18 hours on and off on that Monday. Called in sick again on Tuesday, canceled the war room because I felt so terrible. And thankfully, Mr. C was here that week to take care of me because I was a hurting unit. I felt terrible. Took a COVID test, did the whole thing, felt terrible. So by Wednesday, I was still out sick for the morning show on Laser and middays in Charleston. But by Wednesday afternoon, I felt good enough to get back on the air on the Pike and the Bone. But had I worked in an office setting instead of in my own studio, I still wouldn't have gone in. But because I knew I wasn't going to get anybody else sick, I was like, okay, I'll go back on the air again because I work out of my own studio. But it took me up until this past weekend to stop sneezing and to stop blowing my nose. And you can hear it on the air. You could hear it in the sit reps last week. I was still super congested. My voice was still really scratchy. I wasn't sleeping right. I don't know what I got, but you don't want it because it was 2 weeks of hell. And just over this past weekend, because I've been really trying to prioritize getting sleep, I went through that whole week, and by the end of the week, I was back at work. And then that Saturday, I was outside at the Johnny Appleseed Festival in Leominster. It was a beautiful day. I was outside, so I felt really good that I was around fresh air. But I still couldn't stop blowing my nose. Like the congestion headache was the worst part. The fever was gone. All of that stuff was gone, but the congestion headache was the worst part. So I saw a bunch of people in downtown Leominster, Johnny Appleseed Festival. It was the biggest one they ever had. It was awesome. And then all last week, it was just a matter of getting caught up because I was doing the bare minimum the week before because I just didn't feel good. So I spent a lot of time in bed this past weekend, just trying to make sure that I am fully rested and like to give my immune system a little bit of a boost. And so by last weekend, I was leaving the house again. Last Tuesday, I got a last minute ticket to Sleep Token. And I went because you guys know how much I love the band. I've been telling you guys about them for the last couple of years now. And there were no tickets to be had. I was able to get a last minute ticket. And I ended up sitting with Leah Rance, who does afternoons on Laser in Springfield. So it was really cool to be able to hang out with her because I do mornings, she does afternoons. So it's like Mike Shue and I on the Pike, we just don't get to see each other all that often because our schedules are just completely opposite. So now I'm a lot better. I feel a lot better. So I apologize for not having been here the last couple of weeks. The first week it was because I was sick. The second week it was because of Sleep Token. And now things are finally starting to get back together. So what's up, Denise? Mr. Cole? Okay, so Mr. Cole is asking what's going on with the Pike. So one of the other things that happened, so on Sunday, I went to go and do my show on Sunday afternoon on the Pike. And all of the equipment, like just to kind of give you guys, anybody that doesn't have a backstage pass, you may not know this. Backstage pass holders, we do our live streams every month and I do them from MCHQ. And early on with the Backstage Pass, I gave you guys kind of a backstage view of MCHQ. And MCHQ, for anybody that's new, that's joining us in the War Room for the first time, is my podcast and radio studio where I do all of my stuff. And so I have been given equipment that logs me into all of the radio stations that I work for so that I can do those shows. Well, on Sunday, I was getting ready to do my show on the Pike Sunday afternoon, like I do every Sunday. And the equipment that gets me into the Pike studio died. And so Sunday, I wasn't on the air. Yesterday, I wasn't on the air. This afternoon, I got a FedEx from corporate with new equipment that I spent the afternoon installing, which is why I wasn't on the air today on the Pike, beta testing to make sure that that equipment is now up and running and I'm back, which I am. So I'll be back on the air on the Pike tomorrow. So there's been a lot going on in the last couple of weeks. It has been crazy. But yeah, it was an equipment failure that happened on Sunday. And obviously, you know, they have on-call engineers on the weekends. And I was able to get one on the phone at corporate to kind of talk me through going through the machinery and going through the computer to try and suss out what it was and if it was something they could fix remotely. And it was an actual machinery error. And the only thing that was going to fix it was replacement. And so yesterday they were able to get the gear together that I needed. They got it FedEx yesterday afternoon and I got it today and we were able to reinstall everything and get the studio back up and running. But that's why I was on all my other shows and just not on the Pike because it was a mechanical issue. So, let's see. Andre Peralta on Instagram says, happy to hear you are feeling better. I'm feeling better physically. The studio is feeling better mechanically. Everything is finally starting to get back to normal. So top of the ninth. Let's see. Still 2-1 Sox in New York. That is fantastic. I heard today that Ticketmaster had put a limit on who could buy tickets to the wild card games in New York. And anybody that was trying to get them from outside of New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Connecticut wasn't able to get tickets. So I'm sure Yankee Stadium is filled with Yankees fans because Red Sox fans weren't allowed to buy tickets, at least from Ticketmaster. Maybe secondhand ticket brokers or whatever, they could get them, but that's kind of fucked up, Ticketmaster, seriously. And, you know, if the Red Sox do that, I think that's kind of fucked up too. It's kind of funny. I know that it's happened in the past. It definitely was happening like in 2004 and stuff like that. But I just hope that, you know, there were enough Red Sox fans in Connecticut that were allowed to get tickets because half of Connecticut is trader country for the Yankees anyway. So Walter, get the tech squad, says Bish. Let's see. Brett says, it was great to meet Mr. C at Johnny Appleseed. Carol says, don't forget your birthday. Oh, trust me, we will get to my birthday. Mr. Cole says that Ticketmaster policy really sucked. Not that I have ever stepped foot in New York City. Bish says Connecticut is basically New York anyway. Well, only part of it. There is a very distinct line where Connecticut turns from Massachusetts to New York. And where Red Sox fans, because the radio stations that I'm on, there are parts of Connecticut that can hear the Pike in the afternoon. There are parts of Connecticut that can hear Laser and with me in the morning. And I get messages from these people in Connecticut, you know, that they're definitely Red Sox fans. I was on the air talking about the Red Sox this morning and this afternoon. So, well, not on the Pike, but on the Bone, I was talking about the Red Sox. Rachel says, text your friends in New York who don't like baseball and get them to buy them for you and then transfer them. Yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, man. If you want to go to the game bad enough, you will find a way to go to the game. Rachel says, I resent that, Bish. What's up, Christine? How are you? By the way, the psychotic dogs have begun their napping portion of the show, by the way. Wednesday has gone off to do whatever she's doing, and Friday is fully unconscious over here on the side where the camera is not. So there you go. So this is the Mistress Carrie birthday prequel because my birthday is tomorrow. So actually tonight at midnight, it becomes my birthday. I got the birthday card from the Wolf Pack, my husband and the kids today in the mail. I also got my birthday gifts a little bit early I got some gardening tools, which is fantastic because that's what I wanted. And as I'm getting ready to have to rip apart my garden and rototill it over and everything for the fall. And I also got a new rice cooker because I don't know if you guys have rice cookers or not. I had one for a long time, but never used it. I don't know if I was afraid to use it. I don't know if I was just intimidated or whatever. And then when I started using it, I was like, why have I not used this thing like my entire life? And for years, I have used my rice cooker all the time. And it's not just because I'm making like stir fry and stuff, but I make a lot of soup in the wintertime, especially after Thanksgiving and Christmas, after boiling down the turkey and stuff. And I cook the rice in the rice cooker, and my rice cooker died like 6 or 8 weeks ago, and it has sucked. And so when I was asked what I wanted for my birthday, one of the things I wanted was a new rice cooker. My husband and I have very practical ways of looking at gift giving. I think it's wonderful getting a gift no matter what it is that people give you. But I think when you share a life with someone and share finances with them, there's a little bit of practicality because you want to make sure that the money that you're spending is something that the person is really going to love and really going to use. Like Mike Shue has a very strict, you need to be able to eat it or drink it gift giving policy when it comes to like friends and family around the holidays, which I absolutely love. But I have gotten some really, I mean, look, last year I got Friday as part of my birthday and Christmas gift. But in the past, I've gotten power tools. I got a ladder. I've gotten some really practical things. I got one of those handheld, like wireless Dyson vacuum cleaners. And look, if you buy your wife a vacuum as a way to like tell her she needs to vacuum the house, not acceptable. When your wife says, you know what I would really love is one of those vacuums, or, the traditional blender joke or whatever. If that's what she wants, or if that's what he wants, my husband for his birthday earlier this month wanted new winter boots because he is spending more and more time in the Northeast as opposed to the warm weather places he has spent a lot of his military career. And so that's what he got for his birthday. It was a really nice set of winter boots because that's what he wanted. So, when it comes to gifts, the surprise, extravagant, this is what you want, not what you need kind of gifts, fantastic if that's what you want to do. We just have a little bit more of a practical way of looking at things. But then we do things like our vacation to Rome for our anniversary. And, he bought me, I showed you guys this silver bracelet at this little Italian jewelry shop while we were there because I wanted a piece of jewelry to kind of commemorate this trip that had been on my bucket list for basically my whole adult life. And so, we give those gifts as well. So, let's see. Rice cooker, ask Mr. C what that's code for. Oh, in Okinawa. Oh, Mr. Cole, it's a Marine thing, I'm assuming. Brett says, it is my wife's birthday. Well, happy birthday. Let's see. Birthday twin, says Melissa. Dan on Instagram. Ooh. Dan on Instagram says, hey, Mistress Carrie, I miss you on WAF. Well, we miss WAF too, but there are tons of places where you can still hear me on the radio, and you can also subscribe to the Mistress Carrie podcast, which we're going to talk about in a couple of minutes, and I'll tell you who's going to be on the podcast this week. I did get a 12-foot skeleton for my birthday a few years ago from my sister. I got a 6.5-foot skeleton from Melissa this year as an early birthday gift. So yeah, I've gotten some pretty cool, not frivolous things, but fun things that aren't as practical, even though I will make the argument that Halloween decorations are essential. But that's just kind of how we kind of handle gifts. And then when we're together, we kind of spoil each other with like, date nights and trips and kind of those kinds of things. So Jessica says, it's 80 degrees. How's your weather in Mass? Jessica, it was 80 degrees today in Mass. And it's going to be in the 60s and 70s for the rest of the week. And by Monday, it's going to be 80 degrees again. In October in Massachusetts, I'm just waiting for the weather to fall off the cliff. Bish says, hey, Carrie, can you thank the War Room for me for all of the good thoughts about Mom's appointment to Dana-Farber? It went It went well and we'll know more this week. Bish, that's one of the things. If you're new to the War Room, this has also become a support system. You guys have supported me through COVID, through the loss of WAF, through my mom's dementia and Alzheimer's diagnosis, through the news that my boyfriend was getting deployed again to the Middle East, through celebrating my engagement and my wedding, through the celebration of all of the triumphs of the success of the podcast, the launch of the website, the launch of the online store, and all of the different radio shows. That's what we do here, is we try to support each other the best we can. And that's kind of what this War Room family has become. It's a place where we celebrate wins and we mourn losses and a little bit of everything in between. So, let's see. Jason says, howdy, Miss Carrie. Miss you guys. Through the loss of LB, obviously. There's been a lot. There's been a lot of loss. My personal loss. There's been professional loss. We lost Ozzy. Like there has been personal loss in your families, but then there's also been loss of property. Melissa's house burning. There have been the birth of children and grandchildren. We've celebrated a lot of amazing things and we've mourned a lot of sad things as well. And that's what the beauty of the War Room is. I did want to talk a little bit, and I'm not going to dwell on it, but the last couple of weeks that I've been away, either sick or not here in the War Room, there's been a lot of things happening in the world. And I get asked a lot of the time why I don't use my platform more to kind of exercise my First Amendment rights when it comes to how I feel about certain things. And the last couple of weeks, I've had a lot of people ask me, well, what's your opinion about this? And what's your opinion about that? And obviously, over the last decade or more, having conversations about politics and religion has been a more polarizing task. It's been a painful task for families. It's been a painful task for marriages. It's been a painful task for friendship groups, for social groups, for workplaces. And we've seen a lot on both sides that's not been good. I wanted to just say this. Our society, whether you recognize it or not, modern American society and modern international society, humanity in general, is built on and is successful because of our collective empathy. And even the idea of empathy and the word empathy has become politicized. I've heard people say that it's a weakness. I've heard people say that it's detrimental. I've heard people say that it's not necessary and that it makes you weak. And to that, I will just say that the people that feel that way are also people that get very upset when they are not shown empathy, when they think they are warranted empathy. And so what I wanted to do tonight, because I get asked why I don't kind of dive into the mud with the pigs a lot of the time when it comes to the screaming and yelling, I'm aware that I'm not going to change your mind, no matter how you feel about anything. And I'm also aware that you're probably not going to change mine. While I realize I don't know everything, and while I'm open to being more educated on a specific topic when it comes to facts, I wanted to really take this few minutes on the eve of my birthday, because people ask, well, what do you want for your birthday? And this is what I want. I want people to understand what empathy is, and I want you to be able to recognize it when it is shown to you. Because I think a lot of people are confused about what it is. Empathy is what makes our modern society function. Empathy is what makes people go and donate blood when they themselves are not a hemophiliac or going through cancer treatments or expecting to have some kind of surgery that might require a transfusion. Empathy is what makes someone put that they're an organ donor on their driver's license, even though they don't know anyone that has ever received a donated organ. Empathy is what makes someone open the door for someone that has their hand full of groceries. Empathy is someone that recognizes that someone in the checkout line at the supermarket has 2 items and you have 50 and you let them go in front of you. Empathy is recognizing that that other person could be you, and therefore showing that person action that you would hope you would get if the situation were reversed. Having the ability to put yourself in the shoes of someone else. Empathy is joining the Mistress Carrie Veterans Rock group on Facebook and being interested in veterans causes, even though you're not a veteran and you don't have one in your family. Empathy is donating to a cat rescue when you don't have a cat. Like these seem frivolous, right? Empathy is going to the funeral of someone you didn't know because you know someone that loved them. And so you're going to support the person that's still here because you would hope that if you lost someone that you loved, that there were people that showed up at my mom's funeral that never met my mom, but they came to show me empathy. Even though they were not there to mourn the loss of my mother directly, they were there to support me because I was mourning my mother's loss. Our entire system in this country is based on empathy. It is what drives people to become nurses and doctors. It is what drives people to become school teachers, even if they don't have kids. Or it drives people that maybe had a career in finance and now their kids are older and out of the school system and they decide to change careers and become a teacher because they don't need the money. And so they want to give back. Empathy is what made the chief of cardiothoracic surgery at Mass General Hospital join the army in his 50s, who I had on my show back on AAF, because he felt guilty having never given back to the country that gave him so much, and ended up in Iraq and Afghanistan doing open heart surgery because he joined the military in his 50s so he could bring his medical expertise. He didn't need to do that. He was already the chief of cardiothoracic surgery in the best hospital in the world. Empathy is what makes you imagine someone not be able to defend themselves, and understanding that you are someone that could defend that person and joining law enforcement. Empathy is joining the military because you want to protect the vulnerable. Like our entire system is based on empathy. Every single day you show someone empathy, whether you realize it or not. And every single day someone shows you empathy, whether you realize it or not. And if we are encouraging the idea that our society would be better off without empathy, that's not a good thing. And I bring it up because I feel myself as someone that is overly empathetic in a lot of ways. And I think anybody that is an empathetic person, you know what I'm talking about. I'll give you guys an example. 9/11 happened on a Tuesday morning. I didn't know anybody on the planes. We were in the studio all day Tuesday. Within an hour, we had pulled all of the music and all of the commercials off the radio station. We were on the air till midnight every day. And then in the overnight, we ran like the news feed until Hillman came in the morning. We were all talk, answering your questions, trying to raise supplies, talking to people that had been there, talking to people that had family there, talking to people that knew people that were missing. As someone that grew up in a firefighting family, it was incredibly difficult wrapping my brain around the immense loss of the fire department in New York. And I can tell you that empathy, that fountain, right, that comes out of you, where you are consoling someone in their hardest time, where you are crying, not for yourself, but because you can imagine being the person that has lost someone or that has been injured or whatever. And by Friday night of the week of 9/11, I remember driving home because we made the decision that Friday night at midnight, we were going to start playing music again. And I cried the entire way home and spent the entire weekend in bed exhausted, mentally exhausted, because I had nothing left, because we just were in such a state of sorrow, and I felt like a sponge absorbing the sadness of the people that were so directly affected. And I felt guilty that I got to just go home and not have an immediate family member be lost, or that I got to go home and everyone in my family was safe, that my country had been wounded, but that everyone in my immediate social circle, but having known so many military members and growing up in a first responder family, if you are exhausted when you're there for other people, it's because of empathy. And I bring all of this up as a little bit of a warning that the overly empathetic people in our society are tired. And empathy is one of those things. You don't do it expecting something in return. You're just that way. But if you're constantly feeling other people's sorrow and constantly giving of yourself and wanting to be there to help other people, and that is not reciprocated, I don't think our society is prepared for the empathetic people in this country to not be able to sustain the level of empathy for our community at large as we are used to. I don't think we're ready for the backlash in how our society functions financially, logistically, politically, mechanically. If all of the people that give more than they take stop doing that because they just can't do it anymore. And it's a warning sign of our society that we're starting to see that. And I think when people are surprised that someone passes away that they care about, and they're surprised that they're not getting the empathy and sympathy that they were expecting, they get mad. And they don't understand why. And they start villainizing the people that are not offering them empathy and sympathy. And they're not asking why that is. And so if I can ask anything on the eve of my birthday, and I feel a little bit like I'm allowed to, plus this is my platform, and if you don't like the discussion, you have the ability to not be here. And I hope that you're still here having this conversation with me. Bases loaded, no outs, bottom of the ninth. Oh, God. Here's a perfect example of empathy. Speaking of the Yankees, the Boston Police Department sent a canteen truck to Ground Zero after 9/11 as a way, and the Boston Police Department police officers from the Relief Association went down to man that canteen truck to be there for their fellow officers as they did the impossible, which was dig through the rubble of Ground Zero. If you go to the Boston Marathon every year, on one of the cross streets between Boylston and Newbury Street, you will see the New York Police Department canteen truck set up every Marathon Monday. And the reason why they're there is they are repaying the empathy that was shown to them by the Boston Police Department in the wake of 9/11. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And these are bitter rivals. We're yelling Yankees suck right now because we're in a wild card race with the Yankees. But at the end of the day, the police departments were there for each other regardless of baseball team affiliation. So whatever side of the political spectrum you're on, whatever political party and ideology you subscribe to, I would encourage you to put yourself through this process of wondering, have you shown empathy? And if you're not receiving it, is it because you didn't offer it? And just imagine our country functioning without it. I can't imagine, and it has been said by a lot of high profile people, that empathy is a weakness, that empathy is wrong. And I can't imagine that. Empathy is what drove civilians to go to the homes of wounded veterans and volunteer their time, money, and resources to build ramps when our injured veterans came home. It's what makes someone shovel the walkway and driveway and sidewalk of your elderly neighbor because you are imagining your grandmother slipping and falling in the snow and would hope that someone would do that for them. Like, this is our society. And if that isn't something that we're going to do anymore, then just imagine what that looks like. Imagine expecting empathy on either side of the aisle and having the response be, too bad, so sad, toughen up, bitch. And if that's the kind of society that you want to live in, that's when you're going to start getting people like me that have been trying to take the high road through this whole thing really upset, because I'm seeing it crumble. And the notion, imagine you're an incredibly conservative person and all of a sudden your kid needs an organ transplant. And the people on the other side of the political aisle are like, I don't want to be an organ donor anymore because I don't want my organs going to someone that thinks I'm not an equal member of society to them. Imagine you're a super liberal person doing the same thing. Like that, if that's the society you want to live in, like that's Mad Max kind of shit. There's empathy in all of these post-apocalyptic movies and television shows that we all watch. Things, like Star Wars or The Walking Dead, there's empathy there still. Like those things in society still hold up. If we can't find a way to maintain the empathy in our own country, and especially as someone that spent some time overseas in a foreign country recently and was able to see our country through the eyes of someone else, through the eyes of someone in another country that's just watching it from afar, it was a lot. Imagine the woman you love in a situation where she's being harassed or assaulted, and they just took away the mechanism for her to report that above her superiors because it's her superiors that are doing it. Imagine that there's no mechanism for your kid to be able to handle bullies or, all of these kinds of things. There's countless examples. I spent a lot of time thinking about it before we started the show today, and it's something I really wanted to talk to you guys about because I haven't been here the last couple of weeks. And I just want you to think about it. No matter how deeply rooted your political beliefs are, I would like to think that your humanity supersedes that. And your belief that if we don't help each other and find a way to be empathetic, there are the people that don't want to give empathy and then get mad when they don't receive it. And there's the people that don't want to give it because it's expected of them, but they're not getting anything back. Like, eventually those people will grow tired of always giving, and then being villainized after the fact. Like, imagine being someone that gives blood every opportunity and having the people in your community be actively trying to say that you're not their equal and you're there every 8 weeks donating blood. Like, what's it going to take for that person to become so disenfranchised that they just stop? So, Sox won 3-1. Yes. Thank you very much. Yes. So, in this moment, I have zero empathy for Yankees fans. However, I think we need to find a little bit more of that because it's come up in my personal life. People asking me, do I feel bad for this person? Or why do I not feel bad for that person? Or why don't you want to do this? Like, empathy makes you buy Girl Scout cookies. Yes, they're delicious, but you don't have to have a kid that's a Girl Scout to want to buy the Girl Scout cookies. So here in the War Room, we have built a society within a society where empathy flows freely for the most part. Every once in a while, we get a troll that joins our ranks. But for the most part, there are a lot of people that have very different political views, but they don't bring that into the War Room because it's not tolerated, because that's not what this is. This is supposed to be above that. This is supposed to be us seeing each other as people. This is supposed to be us seeing each other as music fans, as fellow Americans, as fellow human beings. And that is why we've been able to go more than 300 episodes and more than 5 years getting together, because we're able to look past some of these differences and try to be there for each other. But we're standing on a very delicate edge. And I just wanted to make sure that you guys all recognize that, and just recognize when you are showing empathy to other people and when it's being reciprocated. And if you're not receiving it, is it possible it's because you're not giving it in return? And maybe if we all give a little bit more, then maybe we'll all get a little bit more, and then maybe we'll be a little bit better off than we are now. Wednesday. She's barking at the skeletons outside. The dogs are not used to the Halloween decorations, and so they've been barking at the skeletons. Wednesday, come here. Hi, Friday. I wasn't calling you, but you always show up first. Okay. Thank you, girls. Hold on. Let me turn on the pug cam so everybody can see your beautiful faces, because everybody needs... Sit down. Sit down nicely. Look at my beautiful girls. Look at my beautiful girls. Right? Look at those little faces. Thank you for protecting me from the evil skeletons that are outside. I appreciate it. Can I have your paw? Paw? Friday? Thank you. Good girl. Wednesday, paw? Good girls. I forgot to put cookies in my pocket. Stacy says nothing is about politics anymore. It's about this. This is all really fucked up, and we will know it regardless of how we voted. That's just how I'm seeing it. It's really hard, and I feel it in myself that I'm turning into a pessimistic person, and I'm trying really hard not to allow myself to go that route. I'm trying not to be that person that loses faith in my fellow man, that loses faith in my countrymen, that loses faith in my neighbors. And the world's not making that easy. And there's a certain amount of energy that you expel trying to find the good and trying to overlook the bad. That is getting harder and harder to do all of the time. And that's part of the reason I wanted to talk to you guys too, because our society is built on the backs of a lot of people that are fatigued. We saw it with COVID. There's a lot of people that still are debating back and forth about the pandemic. But one place that you can't deny is the exhaustion of our healthcare workers and the vacuum that it created when so many of them burned out, either from being overworked or from being told that they're lying and part of a mass conspiracy that people weren't dying in their hospitals the way that they said, that these people were separated from their families and taking all of these precautions to take care of strangers when they could have stayed home and taken care of their own families, but they didn't. And they did it. And in a lot of instances, because, you'll remember the healthcare workers were getting cheered when they were going into the hospital in the beginning. And then they became the villains who were lying for the establishment. And a lot of them got out of healthcare because of it. And we're paying that price now. Hospitals are closing. They have wings of hospitals that are closed because there's no one to staff. There's fewer and fewer people going into nursing. There's fewer and fewer people that want to become doctors. And we're seeing the repercussions of that lack of empathy. So I'm trying really hard, almost like shouting at the rain, trying to find a way. And I feel like, and I could be wrong, and I'm open to the fact that I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. I think the only thing that can save any of us, or collectively us as a group, is empathy. Because what I do see is people having really strong political opinions about whatever subject because it doesn't affect them. And then it does. And then they change their minds. And I would like to imagine a world where it didn't take you getting diagnosed with a disease and financially being ruined for you to understand why healthcare is such a topic. That it isn't your child coming out as gay for you to realize why that has been such a topic. For you to know a woman that is close to you in your family that gets assaulted, for you to understand what a problem that is. Or for you to know someone that applied for a job and didn't get it, not because they weren't qualified, but because they were whatever, female, a minority, like whatever it is, in a wheelchair. I see that a lot in our society, that people understand a situation way better. And that's humanity, I guess, right? Is that you understand it when it affects you personally or when it affects someone close to you. Empathy has you understand that that's a problem, even though you don't know someone personally that's affected by it. And we show a lot of empathy in the war room. We always have. So yes, Tracy, there's no cookie in the cookie pocket. So that's what I'm asking for. That's what I want for my birthday. So there you go. All right. Our quick reminder about all the places that you can hear me on the radio, middays every weekday on Charleston's Best Rock, 98 Rock in Charleston, South Carolina. What do you have? Do you have a carrot? Huh? You can go to my98rock.com and stream the station and download the free app. You can hear me every weekday afternoon, starting again tomorrow, now that our mechanical issues have been fixed, on 100 FM The Pike in Worcester. You can go to pikefm.com and download the Pike app if you want to listen if you're not in the greater Worcester area. You can hear me on 106.3 The Bone in Portland, Maine. You can go to 1063thebone.com, stream the station off the web, download the app and listen that way. And you can hear me every weekday morning from 6 to 10 on everything that rocks, Laser 99.3 and 98.5 in Springfield, Mass. You can go to laser993.com, stream the station, download the app. This is Leah Rance and I from Laser. She does afternoons, I do mornings at Sleep Token last week. We had a great time. She's super cool. So there you go. There's a lot of podcasts to recap because I've been gone for the last couple of weeks. So why isn't it changing? Change. Come on. There we go. Because I haven't been here. So quickly, episode 275 of the podcast had Spencer Charnas from Ice Nine Kills. We talked about Silver Scream Con a lot. We talked about what it was like to tour with Metallica. We talked about 2026 and Ice Nine Kills plans for the future. Last week, 2 weeks ago, actually, Chad Gray from Mudvayne, who is going to be at the MGM Music Hall at Fenway with Static X on October 25th. We talked about the upcoming Mudvayne album. We talked about the new music. We talked about the 12-year break. We talked about the fans. We talked about songwriting. We talked about Ozzy. There's all kinds of stuff. If you missed episode 276, that came out 2 weeks ago. And then last week, Miss 30 Rack herself, Taylor Mumson from The Pretty Reckless, was on the show talking about touring with AC/DC, talking about Ozzy, talking about the new single, talking about the upcoming new album, talking about her boxing. There's a lot that Taylor Mumson is working on. I asked her about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction and the guys from Soundgarden and if she was going to be part of that performance because she has maintained an incredibly close relationship with the Soundgarden guys. She was actually on tour with Soundgarden and was with Chris Cornell just a few hours before he died. And she couldn't answer the question, which told me yes, but I can't put words in her mouth. But I would think that if she 100% was not going to be part of it, that she could say that. And the fact that she was like, I can't answer that question, but I'm really glad they're getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I was like, maybe. So fingers crossed. That induction ceremony, by the way, is November 8th at the Peacock Theater in Los Angeles, the class of 2025. If you're wondering who's going to be on the podcast this week, well, tomorrow is my birthday. So I have taken the opportunity to not only give you a new full-length episode with Chris Daughtry, episode 278. He's the first guest on the podcast to be on the podcast 5 times. Saturday Night Live welcomes you to like the 5-episode club, and like they give you a jacket. I don't have a jacket, but I guess Chris Daughtry would be the first recipient. However, tomorrow you are getting a bonus episode, a birthday bonus episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast with Sammy Hagar, because it's my birthday and Sammy wanted to say happy birthday. So these are both coming out tomorrow. This one goes live at midnight tonight. This one is going to go live at some point tomorrow. So yeah, pretty excited about that. So brand new episodes of the podcast coming tomorrow. Chris Daughtry is back talking about the tour with Seether and POD that's going to be at the MGM Music Hall at Fenway next Tuesday. I might be going. So there's a good chance we're not going to be here in the War Room again. I'm sorry. But between Seether and POD and Daughtry, it's too many friends in one place for me to not go to that show. You understand. But new episodes of the podcast coming out tomorrow. If you are new to the podcast and you don't know about the podcast, you get weekly episodes every Wednesdays, bonus episodes whenever we have them. And then Monday through Friday, you get the sit rep. The situation report is rock news, music headlines, entertainment updates. And it's about 5 minutes long. You get it super early in the morning so you can listen to it on your way to work while you're making coffee, in the shower, dropping off the kids, get caught up with everything that's going on, tour announcements, new albums, music news, just whatever it is, and then you can go about your day. So you get the sit rep as a feature of the Mistress Carrie podcast. And if you're wondering where you can get the podcast, everywhere. All of the big podcast apps like Apple and Spotify, Odyssey and iHeart. You could check out the audio on YouTube. You can also check it out as part of the Pantheon Podcast Network. And at the very least, just go to mistresscarrie.com, decide which episode you want to listen to and click play. And I made it easy for you. We're still holding strong. I just went and counted countries again before the show tonight, hoping that maybe over the last couple of weeks we got number 150. We still haven't yet, but 149 countries and going strong. And if you're celebrating your birthday today on September 30th, you share your birthday with Mark Bolan from T-Rex, Gibby Haynes from the Butthole Surfers, Trey Anastasio from Fish, and Ben Lovett from Mumford & Sons. And if you're celebrating your birthday tomorrow, you're sharing it with me. So happy birthday. Cheers. If today is your birthday, happy unbirthday, Keith. Let's see. You should have your... Christine says you should have your BF on for your birthday. Who's my BF, Christine? I have a feeling there's a lot of them. Which BF are you talking about? Dina says, I wish I was going, but I am going to be watching my friend's daughter so that she can go to Seether. See, Dina, that's a nice thing. It's a very empathetic thing. I have an 11-hour drive tomorrow from Cleveland to Nashua, New Hampshire. Plenty of time to get caught up with the podcast, says Melissa. I made that ride back when I was building stages from Massachusetts to Cleveland a lot because the Cleveland Clinic Hospital, the staging company that I used to work for in the mid-90s had the staging contract for the Cleveland Clinic. So every time they would have these big galas and fundraising events, we would build all the stages. So I know that ride from Cleveland well. Been there a lot. So Melissa, I totally get it when it comes to that drive. That is a long one. Alexis says, my husband's birthday is today. Well, happy birthday, Alexis' husband. Oh, you guys are talking about Sully. I don't know if Sully's going to call. I do have Polaroids of the birthday party he threw me my first year on the air in 1998. And yes, they are Polaroids. See, now Christine says Brent Smith. See, you guys all have a different idea of who my besties are. And I'm happy and fortunate that I've got more than one. That's for sure. I did want to show you this. Speaking of Melissa really quick, Melissa has been in Cleveland and she sent me these pictures because this is inside the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And if you look at inside the red box and if you look at this close-up photo, she tagged the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with Mistress Carrie bumper stickers. So Melissa, you are the best, man. I love that. Thank you. Hilarious. I'm in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You can't deny it. All right, a couple things I wanted to talk about quick. There's a lot of people freaking out that Bad Bunny is going to be doing the Super Bowl halftime show. because they don't like his music. There's other people freaking out because he's going to do it in Spanish. I'm just upset that we're not going to get Metallica in their hometown, which is why I wore my blackened American whiskey shirt into the War Room tonight. I thought that Metallica, I thought it was going to be Taylor Swift. That was kind of my front runner because the new album is coming out this Friday and all of that. But then I thought, well, maybe this is going to be the year they're going to bring rock music back to the Super Bowl halftime show, and that Metallica would be the shoe-in because it's their hometown. That's why I'm bummed. I'm not bummed that it's Bad Bunny. I get it. He's one of the biggest, most successful musical artists in the world. The NFL is trying more and more to become an international brand, having all of those games in other countries when it's American football. And so, of course, the NFL is going to take every opportunity to try and branch out. That I get. I'm just bummed out that Metallica doesn't get to play the Super Bowl halftime show in their hometown. And the other thing is we're going to get the 2 Ozzy documentaries between now and next week. The BBC documentary, which is the 1-hour documentary about Ozzy moving back to England and his relationship with Sharon. That's coming out on the BBC this week. And then the 2-hour Paramount Plus documentary that has got the entire Osbourne family, that has got all of Ozzy's rock star friends going from when he broke his neck 6 years ago all the way up until the Back to the Beginning concert and obviously his passing. That's a 2-hour documentary that'll be on Paramount Plus on October 7th. So there's a lot of Ozzy stuff coming this week. TD Garden shows. Don't forget Bryan Adams is going to be there at the end of the month. Stevie Nicks, that rescheduled show, is going to be at the end of November. And the Machine Gun Kelly recently just announced he is going to be at the Garden on December 12th. Those tickets went on sale last Friday. The Trans-Siberian Orchestra is November 29th at the DCU Center in Worcester. There's the matinee show, I believe, at 3. And then there's the night show, I think, at like 7:30 or 8. If you've never seen the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, it's amazing. One of the guys from TSO is going to come on the podcast in the next few weeks to talk about it. It's awesome. I love it. I try to go every year. I used to take my mom all the time. She loved it. While my mom was still healthy, but definitely, had already been diagnosed and was suffering from symptoms of her illness. Me, my mom, Annie Ange, here in the War Room, and my sister, my mom, and Annie Ange went to TSO. And shortly thereafter, my mom really wasn't at the point where she could go and do things like that. And so it was great to be able to just kind of sit there and watch her watch it. So it's a pretty spectacular show. Big Night Live has got Everclear, Local H, and Sponge coming up on the 21st. And also From Ashes to New and Magnolia Park. That's coming up in November. Big Night Live in Boston over by the Garden. This is how you know winter's coming. This is how you know. These tours are going to start getting announced for next year really soon. So that gap with the Xfinity Center is not. Adams is going to be at Mohegan. This Seven Dust Unplugged show. The Southside Double Wide show at the Somerville Theater is at the end of November. The Reunited Lemonheads are going to be at the Wilbur. Spirit Box at the Oakdale Theater. Bush and Soul Asylum at the Mohegan Sun. Heart is going to be at the SNHU Arena and the Oakdale Theater. Creedmas is going to be at the Mohegan Sun Arena with Seven Dust at the end of December. Ghost is going to be at Mohegan Sun. They just announced a new list of North American shows. This is the only one in New England at Mohegan on January 28th. And Kenny Wayne Shepherd just announced that he is going to be at the Chevalier Theater in Medford on March 7th. So shows are getting announced more and more all the time. So you can expect this concert calendar like this one that is now empty because the outdoor shows are done for the year. You can expect these tours to start getting announced for next year fairly quickly. They're announcing tours further and further out all the time. Same thing with the Fenway shows. They're going to start announcing those big tours. The Palladium has got Mushroom Head on the 12th, Guar on the 19th of November, and Atreyu coming up on the 23rd. Biohazard is also going to be there this month. I didn't put that one up there, though. I got to fix that. Roadrunner of Monsters and Men are going to be there at the end of this month. Roadrunner is, of course, in Brighton on Guest Street, an address that you may remember with a lot of fondness. Mr. Cole says working both TSO shows if anybody needs anything while you're there. The MGM Music Hall at Fenway, Seether and Daughtry with POD next Tuesday, Mudvayne and Static X on the 25th, and Cage the Elephant on the 30th, with more tours getting routed into the MGM all the time. House of Blues has got Avatar at the end of November, Nothing More in February, and Alter Bridge Filter in Tim, Montana all the way in May. It's September still for a couple more hours, but still, we're talking about shows at the end of May. Paradise Rock Club, we got more shows that are getting announced soon for that venue as well. So believe me, we're going to be busy when it comes to concerts. City Winery Boston, Cold is going to be there on the 27th. And they're saying that this is going to be a different kind of show. It's going to be a more stripped down kind of acoustic thing with different arrangements. Queens of the Stone Age is going to be at the Wang next week doing the same kind of thing, the Catacombs tour. The stage at Suffolk Downs, that is going to be shut down for the year as well. But you can expect more outdoor shows getting scheduled for there for next year as well. Let me go over some of the new releases that are coming out on Friday. AFI has got their album coming out. John Carpenter's Halloween, the complete expanded collection, just in time for Halloween, is coming out on Friday. Modest Yahoo has got Ancient Child on Friday. The Michael Schenker Group, Don't Sell Your Soul. My Morning Jacket, the 20th anniversary deluxe edition of Z. Oasis, the 30th anniversary of What's the Story? Morning Glory. By the way, the last gig they did in London over the weekend, they said, we'll see you in 2026. Does that mean more Oasis shows? I don't know. Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, X's for Eyes, and also Thrice has got new music coming out. Rachel says, speaking of heart, did you see the video of Chappell Roan performing Barracuda with Nancy Wilson? Yes. And what I love that these young female pop stars are showing love to the generations of women that came before them. Women like Joan Jett, women like Lita Ford, women like Debbie Harry, women like the Wilson sisters, that even these young pop stars are understanding that what they're doing can be traced back to the ground that was plowed by those amazing women in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So yeah, I saw it. I thought it was really cool that Chappell Roan tipped her hat and gave props or gave flowers to the impact of Nancy Wilson and Heart's music. I think it's awesome. Mr. Cole says, a plug for Woo Sox opening day, March 27th. We're already talking about opening day, and we're in the playoffs for the Red Sox, and we're already talking about opening day for next year. Christine says, headed to Papa Roach on Saturday in Tampa. That was the other thing that sucked about getting sick, is that I had tickets for the Rise of the Roach tour that Sunday night, the night that I was loading out of Silver Scream Con. Had I felt good, I would have been like, well, if we drove now, we could probably still catch Papa Roach, and I just couldn't do it. What's up, Marcy? She said, hi, I'm sorry I'm late. MC, Pugs, and family. Tom Morello, that's right, Brett. Tom Morello's at the Paradise in November. I don't know why that's not up there, but it's Tom Morello and friends. He's got a lot of friends. So yeah, I will tell you that mail call, there's some stuff that's missing. Carol, I know you sent me a message and said something's waiting for me at the post office. I was with engineering on the phone working in MCHQ today and didn't get to the post office today. But I did get your pistachio biscottis from before. And the reason why they're not in here in the war room tonight is because I ate them, because they're fucking delicious. And yesterday was National Biscotti Day. So Denise sent me, speaking of biscottis, this for my birthday. Guys, look at this cookie jar. How cool is this? And she put the delicious anise toast in it for me. People always come to my house and see all of like the weird stuff that I have. And they're like, where do you find all of this stuff? And I'm like, people send me cookie jars with skulls on them. I don't even know where they find them, but they find them and they send them to me and I love them for it. So hold on. Just the smell alone. Just the smell alone. All right. I got this card. From Denise with the cookies. You guys come up with, look, it's even got like gems that move around in there. Hilarious. And I got this card. Dog cards with donuts. Dogs in donuts. It says, enjoy. Hi, MC. The dog is not Wednesday or Friday, but still cute. Have a good one. Love, Carol. Still cute. Thank you for the biscottis, Carol. They were delicious. They have their own cookie jar in the kitchen. Whether they're Denise's anise biscottis or whether they're Carol's pistachio biscottis, there is a cookie jar. And now, like when my family and stuff comes over, they just beeline for the cookie jars because they know that there's going to be delicious stuff in there. So you guys are amazing. All right, I have been so excited to be able to talk to you guys about some of the new stuff that is in the store. So first of all, if you didn't see, if you were a fan of the old Property of Mistress Carrie bumper stickers, you'll notice some similarities with the new ones. I obviously had to redesign them because, well, I can't put old radio station logos on them. So these new Property of Mistress Carrie bumper stickers, I have them at events now, and they are also part of the new and improved sticker pack that's available in the Mistress Carrie online store. So there's those. And then there is also the I Rode with Mistress Carrie helmet stickers that I gave out for years at motorcycle rides and up at Laconia. And obviously this one is redesigned as well. And these come as part of the new and improved sticker pack as well. And these made their debut at the Johnny Appleseed Festival. Bish, this is all you, dude. It is a beanie that does not fold, so it fits under a helmet better with the Mistress Carrie logo. But this set of stripes is very reflective. It's hard to show you. Let me see if I can get a flashlight. It doesn't even work very good. Trust me, when I got them in, Mr. C and I went out in the dark with headlamps and tested how bright the reflective stripe on these hats is. And these hats are very reflective. So whether you are a runner or a walker as the weather gets colder, whether you're somebody that walks the dogs early in the morning before you go to work and it's a little dark and you want to be warm, but you're also just worried about visibility. Maybe you work outside on a cruise somewhere, and as the time change goes into effect and it's dark in the morning and you're out on a job site and you want to have a little bit more reflection and visibility on your head, these are the new. I tried to get them to do reflective stitching here, but they didn't have it. I tried like 3 different places. This is the pain in the ass of trying to source merchandise. That's what takes it so long, is that they were trying to find reflective thread to see if we could get the logo to be reflective, and they couldn't find it. However, there is reflective stripe in these beanies, and the new beanies are available in the online store, and the new sticker packs have been revised. Now there's more stickers in the sticker pack, and those are available in the online Mistress Carrie shop at mistresscarrie.com as well. And there's still more new merch that's coming for the holidays, so be prepared for that. The people that will find out about stuff first are the people with Mistress Carrie backstage passes, which you can get on Patreon. I know that we are due for a live stream, guys. But me being sick and all of that towards the end of this month, it has just made things insane. But we are going to get one scheduled. It's probably going to be this weekend. I will let you guys know. But you find out who's going to be on the podcast. You get travel blog updates, early access to event information and tickets, and exclusive concert ticket giveaways. And right now, backstage pass holders have access to tickets to see Mudvayne and Static X at the MGM Music Hall at Fenway on October 25th. And you also got a merch discount code for the reflective beanies as well. So Bish says, Carrie, can you send me one? Yeah, I can. Come on, Bish. You know the deal. You're the inspiration, man. How cool are these? And there's more stuff coming. I've actually had a lot of people ask for more like OSHA job site, like high vis stuff, like bright yellow and bright orange t-shirts and sweatshirts and stuff that they can wear on the job site because they're required to wear that kind of stuff. They work on road crews and DPWs and stuff. And so we're trying to source that stuff as well, just doing research on what the requirements are, if it has to be fire retardant and like all of that kind of stuff. So if you don't have a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass, go to patreon.com/Mistress Carrie. Or just click the Patreon button at mistresscarrie.com. All the places that you can find me on social, and of course, all the radio stations that you can hear me every day. Fingers crossed, there's a possibility that maybe we could be adding to the ranks as soon as by the end of this year. So we'll see what happens with that. And I referenced it earlier, the Mistress Carrie Veterans Rock Group on Facebook. We're up over 4,200 people. That page, that group is specifically for information about veterans resources, veterans nonprofits, veteran information, volunteer opportunities, veterans businesses, people that are looking to hire veterans, people that want to volunteer on behalf of veterans, people that love veterans that might be looking for some resources because their veteran is struggling. All of that and more is available in the online Mistress Carrie Veterans Rock Group. So, let's see. So if you haven't signed up yet, if you're a veteran, I just found out that one of the guys that I was in Afghanistan with in 2011 is being promoted to lieutenant colonel in October, which I'm so excited about. I saw him recently at another friend's retirement ceremony, and he definitely was not a lieutenant colonel when I was embedded with him in Afghanistan. And now he's a lieutenant colonel, and that's pretty spectacular. So I'm super excited for him. So anybody that has any interest, if you are a veteran, if you love a veteran, if you just love veterans in general, whatever it is, this group is for all of us to just try and give back a little bit more to our veterans community. And if you have questions about anything from where can you drop off flags to be burned to I have a friend that's a veteran and he's struggling, what resources are available locally for me to offer to help. Like everything in between is available up there. And there's so many great people in the group that if you've got a question and you can't find the answer yourself, there's a lot of veteran service officers that are part of this group. And there's just a lot of active veterans in the community that are part of this group that are more than willing to offer guidance and expertise and help if you need it. So let's see. Rachel says, taking over the world, one radio station at a time. Exactly. So there you go. All right, guys, that's it. New episode of the podcast with Chris Daughtry tomorrow. A bonus birthday episode with Sammy Hagar tomorrow. There's a really good chance that I will not be in the war room next week. You're not allowed to be mad. Seether and Daughtry and POD are going to be at the MGM Music Hall at Fenway next Tuesday. So there you go. All right. Wednesday, do you want to say bye? You're sitting over here so nicely. Come here, Friday. Come on. Come and say bye. There you go. There's my girl. Say bye to everyone. Say goodnight, everyone. I can't believe it has been a year since this little nugget joined the family this week. Can you believe that? Remember last year on my birthday, I showed you guys the picture and you guys were like, get her, get her. And now a year later, here she is. So just goes to show you, you guys give good advice. All right, guys. Hold on. I'll see you guys, if not next week, the week after. And happy official start of Halloween season tomorrow, because tomorrow's October.